best, well, I mean, R.I.P. Celino and Barnes, but do your best, like, commercial spot.
For what? Wait,
mean,
I could turn it down.
Yeah. For, let's see. Let's say you are, you're hawking window blinds. You know how there was like blinds.com or something like that, where you could go on there and there are like a billion different kind of blind selections you can choose for your windows.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you have to showcase the different array that you have in stock.
Okay, I'll give it a try.
Give it a whirl, and you know, really, I'm trying to think of who the voiceover actor is, but yeah, put the sauce on it.
Okay, wait, but tell me if is this too loud? I can turn it down because I don't want to.
No, you're good. You're good now.
Okay. Because I haven't decided yet if this guy's gonna be over the top or if he's gonna be. It's gonna be a split decision. I'll have. Okay, so you tell me.
Yeah,
tell me
let's say
action.
All right, and 3, 2, 1, action.
Do you need blinds for your windows? Of course you do. You don't want your neighbors looking in, seeing all the secrets that you're doing. Well, come to Blinds down on Sprague Street in Montauk.
Sprague Street on Montauk. They're great.
We've got all. Oh, do you want me to keep going?
Yeah.
We've got all the blinds you want. Venetian blinds.
French. What is the French door blinds?
We have. And come to our neighbor store, Doors, where we have French doors.
French doors.
Front doors. We have sliding doors. But this isn't about the doors. This is about the blinds.
Blinds. On Sprague Street in Montauk.
Yeah.
And I think, well, you went with the, you could say maybe like the more local ad spot.
Yes, of course.
Because I feel like national ads definitely, it's more of a subdued kind of like, here at blinds.com.
We're that's what you wanted me to do?
No. But I feel like you did a perfect local ad. Whereas I feel like if you went national, you would probably go down a couple registers and be like, here at Blinds on Sprague Street in Montauk.
I like I love a local commercial because it's always like, there used to be this car commercial and it was always, and I also like when they try and do like a bit. When it's not just like a straight pitch. I like both of them, but like,
right.
It's always just the people who work at that car dealership or something.
Yep.
And they're not actors, but it sounds so funny.
It's always like they're kind of letting you in on an inside joke, kind of like, hey, do you ever have trouble with your carburetor? And it's always a problem. Same with us. That's why you come down to Joe's Auto Shop. We'll help you fix all of that up. And it's just kind of like, oh yeah, I guess.
Well, then there's a Long Island woman. I went to Joe's because I needed a car, and I found the car of my dreams, and now I'm happy.
So because I've been watching like some basketball and some other, like, I guess when you get like network shows, they have local ads like on CBS or ABC or NBC. They'll have local ads, and because it's election season, they have local election ads. And there's this ad that is running, and I think the dude, I don't even know what they're running from, but I see their ads twice, like 2 or 3 times an episode of like a show I'm watching. But it's like some race in New York, which is hilarious because I live in New Jersey. I don't live in New York. And there's this dude, I guess he's a House of representative for Brooklyn, but his dude's name is Max Rose. And he releases these ads where he's just like, who his like, I think it's like Natalie is the person he's running against. She's like, Natalie Malatakis doesn't really know about supporting our troops because Max Rose served as a Marine in Afghanistan or whatever. And then it's just like you described it, like a lady from Long Island who's sitting on her stoop just being like, what is that? Why would she say something? That's so stupid. And then it's a dude who has like a chin strap beard and glasses, and he's just like, Max Rose really knows what's up. And then they have a dude who's like in a leather biker jacket with like, you know, NRA shit all over his hands. He's like, Max Rose is a real hero. And then it's just like paid for and approved by Max Rose, you know. And it's just, every time I watch it, I'm just like, who is this targeting? Because it's hilarious. And but I'm gonna vote for Max Rose.
I was gonna say, I don't know who any of those like attack ads influence, but apparently you.
Yeah, it's because, like, especially when it goes local, and it kind of goes back to the local ads, is like, I guess the people who live in this, like, you know, 10 block radius, it's for them, but the commercials are so widespread that there are going to be people. It's kind of like seeing Sonic ads when there's not a Sonic in 3 states surrounding you. It's kind of like, why am I seeing Sonic ads? There's no Sonic around here. It's just kind of funny because it's like I get like an insight into this like neighborhood district that I've probably never been to, and it's just hilarious because I know all of the dirty details about these two candidates. It's hilarious.
I think it's funny when they're attacking each other. Like, I've seen a couple of those where it's just one aggressive guy and he's like, so and so won't do that, you know. And it's like they probably run into each other at like the bagel store.
Yeah, exactly.
But they both like are just talking trash on TV.
Yeah, I because like that's where the debates, because they'll have those like, you know, congressional debates where it's the two candidates going back and forth, and that's usually after like months of kind of attack ads. And it is kind of funny to watch even some of those debates because it is so like personal. It's just like, he drives a Lexus. Can you really believe that someone who want to represent you drives a Lexus? He's like, where do you think that money is going? And it's just like, it's to buy him another Lexus. And it's just like, because
one thing I know about people with Lexuses, they always want another Lexus.
And more often than not, whenever it's an attack ad, they're attacking something that is like fairly public knowledge. Like, oh, this person spent, you know, this person like raked in $2 million from their campaign and spent $200,000 on vacations or whatever, something like that. So you can like actually track a little bit of something. But the best, I think, are the ones where it's like, there's not even like substantial things. It's just kind of like personal, like, he's too bald to run for Congress or something, where it's just like, this doesn't really, I guess it's a personal preference for me, the voter, to choose if I want someone who is like, you know, very bald or whatever. But it's just kind of funny that if the lowest common denominator that you can use to attack somebody because they haven't like robbed a bank, you know, or you know, pushed a grandma in front of a bus or something. But yeah, that, and also like networks or like TV stations allow it, and it's just kind of the juxtaposition of those attack ads in the middle of like Jeopardy or those shows where you're just like
the audience, the like Jeopardy audience.
Yeah, the Jeopardy audience. They're just like, you know, because I feel like most people in a commercial, they're just like immediately go to their phone and they're just like on their phone, right? They're not really paying attention to the commercials.
I do that during the shows, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm on my phone all the time.
But I guess like an older generation might not. They might actually be sitting and watching it. And
that's when you go get a snack. Yeah,
exactly. You just kind of shuffle over, take a slash or get a snack, and you know, you're set. But they're so receptive to those kind of attack ads, and they're just like, because then you can do an attack ad based on how much you're getting attacked. Like, can you believe how negative this person's campaign is? It's just like, yeah, that is bad. We shouldn't do that. But that's, I mean, that's politics, baby.
Yeah, I think, I guess it was, Hillary did one where it was just Trump like talking like a maniac and like children watching. Yeah, and it was like cut between. It was like, "Is this who you want? Our children watching?" And it's like, that's a pretty good commercial because they're not saying, they're just like, it's not a lie, you know. They're not like spinning anything. It's just like, here's what
right.
he's doing. Yeah.
And then just Trump just does an ad where it's just like, what happened to all your emails, Hillary? Where did they go?
And
Are
everybody's
you
like,
hiding
"Oh,
something?
what? Yeah."
It's just like, are you hiding something from our children, Hillary? Donald Trump
I don't
approves
even
this.
know how emails work, but she's got them, so I'm not going to vote for her.
Yeah, the color commentary, like you said, of the woman who's sitting on their porch being interviewed by this very one-sided attack ad is, yeah. I mean, people are just like, yeah, I'm kind of like this person. I do agree. She should release her emails. You know, I don't want this man watching my kids. That'd be scary. It's like the you probably know very well the Raymore and Flanagan. It's 6:00. Do you know where your kids are?
Yeah.
It's like right before the news starts.
The news,
and it's like,
yeah.
This is like, it's 7:00. Do you know where your kids are? And it's, I don't know. I guess maybe it was like for an age where your kids, like babysitting your kids just meant like open your door and letting them go, outside for like like after school, because there was no after school programs.
Well, yeah, you just come back when the street lights go on.
Exactly.
That's like the rule across the board for like suburban or like our parents' generation. That's what it is. It's just like, yeah, come back when it's dark out.
Yeah, basically. I remember very vividly, I think it might have been before 7th grade or before 6th grade, the day before our first day of class. And it was like a Sunday, and me and a few of my friends, we just got on our bikes at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon and just was all around the town, just like biking around everywhere. And I think, by the time it was like, getting to dusk, almost nighttime, was around when we came home. But like that would just not even be conceivable now. You would probably get child protective services called on you if you were just like, well, he was with his friends and they were just biking around for 6 hours around town. I mean, he came home before it was dark.
And it was also, you didn't call, like there was no
cell phones.
So it's like I remember when we got older, I had my friend Tommy, one friend who had a cell phone, and that was good enough for all of our friends' parents. Like nobody else got a cell phone because Tommy had one. And so the parents would just call his phone if they needed to talk to us. But before that, it was just like, yeah, I'll meet you. Like you call someone and like meet them at the school or, the playground or whatever. And it's like, you just have to wait for them to show up.
Well, I also feel like people were more, I don't know what the right word is, but people were more honest about what they were going to do. Like if I told my parents I'm going to be at this like school playing basketball or whatever in the like recess area, like I knew that that's where they would go if they really needed me. So I couldn't really just like leave. And if I left, I would know that could be a problem, like if they then tried to find me and I wasn't there. But there was just kind of like an implicit trust that like if I was like, hey Mark, let's meet at Cheesecake Factory at 3:00, I wouldn't just like text you at 2:45 just being like, where are you? I'd just be like, all right, we said 3, he'll come at 3, and if he's a little late, I'll just kind of hang around. But I
also remember everybody, like I don't really remember a time when anybody was late.
Yeah, exactly, right?
But I think maybe we've gotten, I don't know, like phones have made it so we can text somebody, hey, I'm running late, and then that's okay, I guess. I don't know.
Or it was just like kind of understood that like you gave like a 10-minute window or a 15-minute window of like, all right, they said 3, but it's 3:10. They're not here yet, but I'm not going to like bounce.
Now I say I'm on my way while I'm like, I've yet to put my shoes on.
I've done that on dates. I actually had a date leave 15 minutes after we were scheduled because I was running late. But I still did I'm in like my train stopped, which it legitimately did, although that is a good excuse sometimes too, to just be like, oh, the trains or the traffic. Yeah. But it legitimately like stopped and I was on time. And then as soon as I got off the train, I ran. It was like 3 blocks away where we were going to meet at. I ran and I texted her, I was like, just got off the train. I'm running over, and I get there, not inside, and it's like a tiny spot, so it's just like I would have saw them. Not inside. I go outside. I'm like, oh, maybe they're just like walking around the block or something. Give them a call, no answer. Text them, no response. I was just like, oh wow, I really had 15 minutes, and they were gone, which is kind of wild because it's like,
wow.
I could have not communicated the whole time and just showed up 15 minutes late, but you know, trying to be a good person. But you're
People
right.
don't
Like,
have time for that stuff. Now but you've learned your lesson. She taught you.
Yeah, she taught me a real good lesson. Not to instead of my lesson being I'll just show up 15 minutes early, my lesson is just like, now I just know that if someone tries to leave after 15 minutes, I just won't talk to them ever again. That's the correct lesson, right? No, I feel like cell phones, at least for me, have made it's made it more understandable. So at least I have a reason. Whereas like in this day and age, if you have a cell phone and you're late and you don't give a reason, or as soon as you arrive, you don't give an update or something of like some excuse, as flimsy as it is, you at least give some excuse. Then it's kind of like, wow, you really are shitty. But because the cell phone makes it kind of impossible not to be able to be in contact with somebody, to at least be like,
right,
I'm on the road, 10, 15 minutes away. Here's my ETA, whatever. But
that's like whenever you text someone, like here's one thing that aggravates me is like when if I send someone an email about whatever it is, and like it's me, but I'm like, why don't they reply in 1 second? It's like,
right.
Because it's like we all have email on our phones, you can look at it, and then when somebody like posts something on Instagram, I always say to myself, well, you could post on Instagram but you can't answer an email,
right?
Like I would never say that to the person, but I'm thinking it.
That's
I'm
true.
angry until they respond.
Well, I will say, as someone who maybe doesn't get back on emails as quickly as someone like Mark would expect, I will say that I really only answer emails when I'm at my computer. Like on my phone, I don't really even check my emails on my phone. Like if I'm expecting something, I might check it there. Like if it's, I'm supposed to get something from my parents, from my brother or whatever, like, I'm like, all right, I'm waiting for this and I get that. But if it's like something where it's just like, oh, this or that, I might not check it until I actually am on my computer. And then I'm like in email mode or something like that, where I'm like, all right, I got my computer here, I'm gonna be answering some emails. I think when I was working, it was easier because you are at a computer all day. It's like, oh, I got nothing else to do, I'll just answer these emails,
right?
But I feel like the text is bigger. Like if you're texting somebody and they're not responding within 24 hours,
that's generous. 24 hours is generous.
It is generous, but I feel like it really depends on the relationship you have with somebody. And also like I have friends who get busy and who are just like, it's clearly like, this is not a time where you can be able to communicate with somebody. But I always give someone 24 hours, and after 24 hours, and if there's like, oh, hey, and it's just like, oh, okay, I get it, then we don't have to like continue this in this way, But yeah, I give people 24 hours. If they're like really good friends or family, and I know like their history of like they generally respond within this amount of time and they don't, that's when you start to get worried, because you're like, oh, I hope.
Oh, you're getting worried? I'm getting angry. Or maybe the opposite.
Because I think like unless they're like, oh, I went camping, or I went on a cruise, where it's just like, all right, cell service might be spotty, or their battery might have died, then it's just like, yeah, okay. But if you're in like pretty regular contact with somebody and they don't respond for like a day or two, then it's just like, oh yeah, I would be like, I hope everything's okay. Especially if they didn't give you the heads up that like, hey, I'm gonna be flying to Bali or something like that.
Yeah.
That's I mean, it's a big thing. I think with this generation, the young the young kids is they're just like, bad at texting,
Right. I think that's an excuse. Like,
Yeah, I think so.
that's like a cool thing. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm bad at texting, and it's
I'm
like,
busy.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so busy I can't text. Thank you when you said happy birthday. Like, I got offended by that. I texted someone happy birthday like a couple weeks ago, and they didn't respond. I was like, all right.
All right, I guess we're not that close of friends.
Yeah, I'm not going to wish you a happy birthday next year. Certainly not going to do that.
I know. I feel like there are times where I get in my head about certain stuff like that, whether it's happy birthday or like kind of like getting in contact or feeling like the right response with certain people. Like, I think when I was younger, I felt more hurt about it, whereas now I'm just kind of like, I don't care. Like, if this is your MO or whatever, and that's what it is, then I'm fine. Because I feel like I've definitely been guilty of it too, like in my life, and probably friends who are just like, oh yeah, you didn't respond to this, or you're really slow to respond like this, and I feel like, yeah, you kind of have to like find your happy medium, because it's like, because sometimes it's just like, I don't know if I really want to just like be answering texts all day.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, I guess. Okay, on your birthday, yeah, you're probably getting like, and you're not gonna get around to saying thank you to all of them.
Also, like, I'll put it to you this way: let's say you sent me a happy birthday text, and
Yeah.
yes, I have a lot of family and friends who sent me a text that day saying happy birthday. Would you be satisfied with just a thank you, or would you want more of like, oh thanks, hopefully we can get together soon, or like, sometimes
Nope, just a
texts,
thank you.
right, but sometimes I feel like texts are like invitations to have conversations, which is why I think some people just avoid them, because it's like, well, I don't want to have a conversation right now, but I want to acknowledge that this person sent me something. I just don't want to get into a whole thing,
Well, that's why the iPhone like to message thing is pretty cool. You don't have an iPhone, but then
yeah.
you can just respond, like you can acknowledge. I just wanted to thank you. It's like when, and I noticed this, it's a similar thing of when like I get food delivered,
Yeah.
and I say like, thank you, have a good night, and the person doesn't say anything to me and they just walk away. That like offends me, because I'm like, I'm trying to be like a nice person.
Yeah, and I think maybe part of it too is like, you're not part of it is like the transactional thing, right? Of like, thank you for doing this or giving me this. But then you also,
Right.
if you add like a have a good night, you're trying to make it personal. You're trying to like not make it so robotic, so analog of a ones and zeros. Like, give me the thing I ordered and that's it.
But if somebody says have a good night or have a good day to you, you don't just say nothing.
Yeah,
you have to respond
that's rude.
to that.
Unless they have a personal vendetta, because they're just like, this fucking asshole just orders food all the time. He never tips me well, and he is always just like, have a good night. No, I know, but like, I feel like when you're
there's no excuse. I tip so well. There's no excuse.
I agree. No, I think you're right. Like, if you are, quote unquote, checking all the boxes of this kind of, service transaction of like, being courteous and respectful, and, tipping where it's appropriate, and, taking care of the person, meaning like, have a good night, be safe out there, whatever. I feel like you at least deserve acknowledgement. But some people, I don't know, maybe they don't read social cues like that, and they're just like, in their own world.
Yeah.
They're just like, will this guy stop talking so I can go back to watching anime in my car? He's like trying to be best friends with me, and all I want to do is just give him his fucking pizza and leave. No, it's because, don't you feel like more and more in our world is kind of like removing opportunities for that to happen? Like, when you go to a grocery store, like I've seen that now at least the grocery stores that I go to, like there are more and more self-checkout lines, which are probably good for like COVID reasons, right? Because you don't have to interact with somebody else. Somebody else doesn't have to touch your money or your items in order for you to like leave and pay. But it does kind of remove that like thing of like interaction with humanity. Like if you just have someone to do contactless delivery and they can just drop your shit at your door and you don't even have to see them, I think it's dangerous because it removes the human element of like all of these things that are happening, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's involved in at some stage of the process, and I think the more, if we want to get into frickin' Marxism here, I think the more you remove the attachment to how the process is made, it makes it easier for you to disassociate from that. And like that's why when people watch those, I don't know if you ever watch them, but I definitely avoid them. But like Food Inc. or like those docs where it's just like, here's how all of these chicken nuggets get made, or here's how
Oh
like,
no, I skip those.
because it's like I think I have a very clear understanding of what that process is. I'm not oblivious to that. So when I buy those things, I'm aware of kind of either what I'm contributing towards or not contributing towards. But I think there's a lot of people who just look at it as like, no, I just go to the store and there's meat saran wrapped and that's where it's supposed to be. They don't understand the like, the rancher who used to like feed the cattle and then like, or like buy the cattle and then feed it and then take it to a slaughter and a butcher and all that stuff. It's like so removed from that it makes it kind of like, yeah, I guess when you do have a situation where it's just like interacting then with someone and you're just kind of like, why is this person wishing me a good night? God, what annoying.
Do you think when we come out of the pandemic, people are going to be like overly nice to each other? Like we're going to see no, you think everybody's just going to be like meaner or just conditioned by all of this to be like shut off?
I think they'll definitely be conditioned to kind of be standoffish because it's like almost built in now into our society and culture of like, I will say in some areas, like I think definitely around here where we live, like there definitely is an air of kind of like this mentality of just kind of keeping your distance and being respectful, and then the people who are not doing that are clearly like ostracized, whether it's online or in person. Like they definitely stand out. And I think the opposite is true in other areas where they might not take the pandemic as seriously. But I think it is giving people an opportunity to be more entrenched in their own ideals and their own mentalities because it's being justified right now. And if that lasts a long time, like, I don't know if people are just going to be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go and start shaking my neighbor's hands and doing all that. Because I feel like they would have been doing that now. And maybe that is the case in some places. But I don't know. Do you think that this creates a culture and a society that is more open to those kind of things, or is it close it off more?
Well, there's a big divide in the country, so that's like a whole separate problem, but it's connected.
Yeah.
That like people here, the thing I don't understand about like the anti-maskers, like the Karens and stuff like that. If you're screaming about something in a store and everybody else is staring at you and wearing like their mask, like
Right.
How on earth do you think that you're right? How do you think that you're doing something good in that situation? You're clearly wrong.
Right. Well, I think I agree with you that I think it's a weird thing because in their mind, if we do a Freaky Friday and you put my brain in their brain or you put my brain in their body, I think in their mind they're justifying this in a way that I think you could have done it previously, but I feel like there's more room for it to happen where it's just like, but I'm really right. It doesn't matter if everybody or the crowd or the majority says that I'm wrong. I believe that I'm right, so I'm right.
But I don't think it's really right and wrong. I think it's more of like a privilege. Like I live in this country and I should be able to not wear a mask if I don't want to wear a mask. And it's like,
Well, yeah,
well,
I think that
you
is for
know,
sure.
nobody's telling you that your rights are being revoked. You know, it's just like you have to do
Well,
this thing.
some
Like,
people are saying your rights are revoked. Like, I think that's where the you know, the media of sorts, the ones that they probably listen to, are reiterating those kind of things of like, your rights are being infringed on. This shouldn't be what you should be subjected to. You know, blah 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 blah. And I
oh,
think,
they're looking at it from that. Yeah, I see.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I think that's what they're kind of being fed and then reinforced in. Like they're finding that information and being reinforced in those beliefs. But I
But it's
think
more of
it's
I shouldn't have to do this because I don't
right.
want to, and less of like
Yeah.
I understand. I understand why. There's no understanding of why they have to wear a mask.
No, but and I think. Well, did you see Bill Burr's monologue on SNL?
Yes.
So I think it's the first time I watched SNL in a while, but because I like Bill Burr and his monologue, I thought it was great. He like talks about like anti-maskers, just like, yeah, if you want to like kill your grandparents, go right ahead, go for it. I
Yeah.
don't care. Like, there's too many people on this planet anyway, so you know you're helping us all out. And I definitely think there's like two sides of it where there's these people who believe that this is an infringement or whatever, and they can believe that. They can be absolutely wrong in that sense too. Like, like the it's weird because the vitriol that people have against anti-maskers isn't quite the same as they have against anti-vaxxers, which is funny because I feel like there's definite crossover between that, but there's also a divide where it's just like there are definitely these people who don't believe in vaccines for their kids who definitely probably are wearing masks right now.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Which is weird. But I think that like those people, it's just so much more of a thing. I think the fact that it has to be on you, like you have to wear it, I think is like a big factor of it. Like if this was something where it's just like, all right, anytime you go into a store, you have to like press this keypad. I feel like some people would be like, whatever. But it's just kind of like most people would probably be okay. But it's the fact that it's just like, no, you have to put this on your body, and you have to like adhere to this. And I think also the fact that like nobody really knew what was going on didn't help. Like Ebola, people don't fuck around with Ebola. Whenever there's an outbreak in Ebola, you don't hear people be like, yeah, well, it doesn't matter. Just give me a blood transfusion. I don't care where it's come from. People are just like, yeah, they, you were around when like Ebola was breaking out in Africa, and then they had like a doctor who came to New York with the Ebola infection. Do you remember that?
What year was that?
This is probably like 4 or 5 years ago. But just generally, Ebola is like probably what we all imagine COVID to really be, right? Here's this like literal movie virus. It's a virus that when it gets in you, you have basically like 2 days to survive. If you don't have like medical attention, you're gonna bleed out. Basically, it's just like insanely horrific virus, and it's ravaging through West Africa, and people are just like, what are we gonna do? And then a doctor who is like doing pro bono work or whatever, was taking care of patients there, came back to the United States, came back to New York, and was had a positive Ebola test basically. And I think they survived, which was also the crazy thing, is like I think they got treatment that is probably like very expensive and blah blah blah. They were white, they survived. But it was a thing because it's like if Ebola had an outbreak in New York City, it would be pandemonium because there's a history of that virus. People would definitely like want to make all the precautions possible because it's like this shit is not to be fucked around with. I think COVID was compared to the flu for so long that I was just like, well, is it really that bad? I mean, yeah. And now I think, with the president getting it.
So you're saying maybe they should have called COVID something else?
Yeah. Let's do
extreme flu.
Yeah. Let's do a Hollywood pitch meeting for, the CDC has come to the brightest minds in Hollywood, right? Jerry Bruckheimer, Tom Hanks, Jimmy Kimmel, Anthony Anderson, like the brightest minds in Hollywood, drawing all of their star power. Jamie Foxx, Katie Holmes, Jamie Kennedy, Dane Cook, all of the star power that Hollywood has. Brad Pitt, Jennifer Aniston, Ben Affleck. They bring them all into this kind of like Justice League kind of conference room, and they're like, we need to warn people about this virus. What should we call it? And who's going to star in the movie? Because obviously we need to make a major motion picture about it.
Well, super flu sounds too silly, so it couldn't be that.
Super flu is like the Farrelly brothers, like their take on COVID, like their Dumb and Dumber version of the COVID movie. Super flu. Can you catch it? Yeah, super
Jimmy
flu.
Fallon.
Starring Jimmy Fallon. Hey guys, have you seen? Oh my god!
The flu's so super. The flu's so super, guys. You gotta be kidding me.
No, they would go back. They would drag Jay Leno out and have him do it. Hey guys, have you heard? Yeah, they'd have Seinfeld do comedians in cars with getting coffee, and it's the COVID virus.
Comedians in cars getting COVID.
It's just them in like an SUV, just like coughing on each other.
All right, let's seal up the windows.
Yeah, super flu. Yeah, a little silly. I think we'd have to bounce that one back. Maybe like terror in the air.
Yeah, terrorist flu.
Terrorist flu. Yeah, terrorist flu. The weapons of mass destruction flu. And it would have an all-star cast. Like, yeah, well, obviously they had Brad Pitt do Dr. Fauci on SNL, so he'd probably revise his role. Who would play COVID though? That's the real key. Who's a young up-and-coming star who wants to Jim Caviezel their career?
Well, my first guess would be like Andy Serkis doing like a mocap thing.
I love that.
But you're saying somebody should be like a children's theater where somebody's wearing like a lycra suit with, or whatever they're called, with like
no, you know what?
Like styrofoam glue to it.
We have the technology, Mark. Let's just bring in Andy Serkis in. Let's just bring him in and get him in the suit and let him do his thing, because magic happens. Just pure magic. And then we can get what's his name to come in at the end of the movie with a flamethrower and burn COVID up.
Who?
Josh Gad or Idris Elba? Or no, I got it.
Idris has
Vin Diesel.
Idris, I think Idris should be like the head scientist or something.
Yeah, he should be. No, I feel like Idris could play Herman Cain. He could play that. He could he could lose himself in the role of Herman Cain, who is like denouncing the virus and then dies from it.
It's very generous to Herman Cain for letting,
well, you know,
like
how
one of the most attractive people in the world playing this pizza nerd or whatever.
I'm just thinking of like Vice or like those kind of movies where it's like based on historical characters, and they clearly get people who are like the Hollywood version of this, but they're like, yeah, this person's like 15 times more attractive than the person they're portraying. Like, you know, the person in real life was an absolute dog face, and then we got Idris Elba to
Honestly,
portray
Jesse
them.
Eisenberg over Mark Zuckerberg is exactly that, is what you're saying.
100%. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Where it's just like, damn, Mark Zuckerberg could, send Jesse Eisenberg a little check for making him look normal, like a human.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's something, we just have to write a little pitch about it. Maybe attach the right production company, maybe get like A24 behind it, or Bad Robot. J.J. Abrams would definitely direct this movie.
Yeah, so this would be like a huge disaster movie, like that sort of.
Yeah, with like,
that's gonna suck. Like they've already started making TV shows about like this time. Like literally there's a show, I don't know what channel, but I think it's called like Love in the Time of COVID or something like that.
Zoom show?
Yeah, it's something like that. It's like people in relationships over Zoom, and it's like, really, you're making, like, why don't you wait for it to be over before you decide like that you're going to do a show on this?
I think they just don't know. Like, they don't know how long it'll last, and I think, and I kind of hope it's changing a lot of things, beyond just like the grocery store. But I think for like the entertainment industry, so much of everything is concentrated to like, LA and California and in New York to a certain extent too as well. But I definitely want to see this kind of allow productions and creators to create things that aren't based there, like have it set or take place in other locations, or start building large studios that have large sets in other places beyond those two locations. Because I think it'll just like create a broader array of like what people watch on TV. And I think, like HBO and like AMC and FX and Showtime, they do those shows that are kind of like that, where it's like, oh, it takes place in New Mexico, or it takes place in Colorado, or whatever. I think that would be cool to see that. But I think more than likely what we'll end up seeing is more people being like, staring at a Zoom screen and being like, oh, can you believe what's happening right now? And they won't name the president because they don't want to date themselves. They'll just say like, the president is going off again.
Yeah, there'll be like a kids movie that is like an allegory for. There'll be like what was that movie? Like Zootopia, which was about like police brutality. There'll be one about like,
wait, what? Zootopia is about police brutality?
Yeah.
What?
And like discrimination.
Seriously?
Yeah, she's a rabbit, and like rabbits can't be like police officer, or it's something like that. Rabbits are discriminated against.
I did not even think. I just thought it was just like, oh, it's
have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it, but from the trailer, I definitely didn't get the police brutality side of it out of that. Damn. It's like their version of the Clash. Yeah, it's like their version of the Glass Shield, where it's just like corruption within the police department, and it's every character is an animal.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is what it is.
Wow. I mean, cheers to Zootopia for calling
a lot of
out.
people didn't like it though. I think for that, I think it was like forced. People felt it was forced. I liked it.
All right, here's the wiki kind of quick description of it. Taking place in the titular city where anthropomorphic animals coexist, it tells the story of an unlikely partnership between rabbit police officer and a red fox con artist. We know who the red fox con artists are supposed to be, as they uncover a criminal conspiracy involving the disappearance of predators. Whoa. Dang. Who'd have thought?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. Cheers to.
I think Idris. Wait, am I wrong, or does Idris play?
Idris is in this movie.
Chief. Yeah, I think he plays the like chief of police, and then I think it's Kristen Bell.
No, Jennifer Goodwin. She's
the main one. Oh,
yeah.
And then Jason Bateman is the fox.
Yes.
Okay.
Shakira is also in this movie.
Shakira.
Shakira.
Oh, baby, when you talk like that.
Yeah, do Shakira doing a local ad for a blind salesman.
Oh, hello. So you, I can't do it.
If you want to shake your blinds to block out the sun, come over to Blinds.
I don't know what she's.
And then obviously they would have the clip of her song in the background, but like just the instrumental because they definitely couldn't get the rights to the actual song.
Even though she's in the commercial.
Exactly. Well, she doesn't own her own masters.
I guess you're right. Well, we don't know her contract.
That's true. But as everybody should know, and we'll leave you on this, own your masters, folks. Own your masters. It just means own your masters. You take that however you want to. But in the music industry, it just means own the music that you make.
I thought you were saying when you get your master's degree.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure you own that. Hang it up. You got to get it framed. Isn't that weird? They don't frame your degrees when they give it to you. You know, they should at least frame them.
Bullshit. For you. I paid all this money to get this master's degree, or any degree really, and the least you could do is go to Target and get a fucking $15 frame to put it on.
Yeah.
I can replace it with a better frame, but just give me it with a frame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's Bush League. Big time Bush League move. Universities.
Damn you, college.
You're on notice. If we had to make a attack ad about universities not giving frames, it would be like Burr Manhattan Community College thinks that they're accredited college, but they don't even give frames with their degrees. Can you believe that?
My degree's all wrinkled.
Go to a real university, University of Phoenix.
I just printed mine out.
All right, let's get started.
Let's get started.